Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user LovelyAntoniaXO. Am I the a-hole for cutting off all contact with my mother-in-law for trying to change my daughter's middle name? Hey, I'm 26, female, and I just gave birth to my first child. I had a daughter whose name is Flory, fake name, 3 months ago. I fell in love with my college sweetheart, 27 male, and we married over 2 years ago. We started trying for the baby a year ago and quickly got pregnant. I've always had a great relationship with my husband's side of the family. My parents died when I was 15 from a car wreck, so my grandparents raised me. My mother-in-law and I have always had the best relationship. She was there for me through my entire pregnancy. Flory was going to be her first and only grandchild because my brother-in-law and sister-in-law don't want any kids and me and my husband only want one kid. Ever since I was little, I've said if I had a daughter, she would have my mom's middle name, and if I had a son, he would have my dad's middle name. Surprisingly, we were having a daughter. My mother-in-law was so excited she even helped me pick out my daughter's name, Flory Noelle Richards, also a fake name. Noelle is my mom's name. Mother-in-law was so happy and excited about her name, or so I thought. Fast forward 2 months later, I go into labor at work. Lol. My co-worker drove me to the hospital. My husband and mother-in-law met me there. I wanted her to be in the room because she was my second support person. Everything was going well until it didn't. Unfortunately, I wasn't dilating at all, so I had to have an emergency C-section. It went great. 20 minutes later, we had a beautiful and healthy daughter. I was really drained and not feeling well afterward, so I decided to rest while my husband went home to grab some things because I went into labor at work. Lol. My mother-in-law agreed to stay with me and look after the baby while I took a nap. Shortly afterward, I was awoken by one of the nurses on my team and she said, "Sorry to wake you, but I heard you expressed concerns about changing your daughter's middle name." I was completely shocked and dumbfounded and said, "Ma'am, what are you talking about?" Before she could say anything, my mother-in-law jumped in quickly and said, "Well, I just thought since I've been the one that's been here and supporting you, that she should have my middle name, which is Marie." I was confused and so shocked and literally couldn't get any words out, so I simply said, "What?" This lady looked me directly in my eyes and said, "Well, she's not even here to support you, so what sense does that make?" I immediately started to shed tears because that really hurt me to my core to hear this. My mom was the best mom anybody could ever ask for. I miss her dearly every single day. She would have been the best grandmother to my daughter. I dried my tears and looked up at her and told her to get out and don't come back. I can't believe that you would say that knowing my mother is dead. She eventually left and I immediately called my husband, crying and telling him what she did. He was so shocked and didn't believe me at first because his mother is not that type of person. I thought so too. He came back to the hospital where the nurses confirmed my story. He apologized to me and gave me a hug and stated that must have been hard to hear. It was. We were discharged 2 days later, and that's when I started receiving texts from my brother-in-law and sister-in-law stating how I'm wrong for kicking her out of the hospital room when all she was trying to do was make me more comfortable. My sister-in-law even went as far as to tell me, "If you ever call my mother a bitch again, you won't be alive to raise your daughter." It was clear that my mother-in-law fabricated the story. I was shocked. That's when my husband grabbed the phone and cursed his brother and sister out really badly, especially his sister. He told them what really happened and they immediately apologized to me. My sister-in-law even started crying for what she said 1 minute before. I was really mad, but I forgave her because I would be the same way about my mom and grandmother. 3 days later, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law came to meet their niece. It was lovely and a beautiful sight to see. 30 minutes later, my mother-in-law pulls up unannounced. I quickly grabbed my baby and went upstairs. My husband opened the door and told her that you're not welcome here or around our baby until my wife is comfortable. She quickly caused a scene at our front door. Eventually, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law got her to calm down and she left. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law came back in, apologized to us and left. Ever since then, the rude text messages and phone calls didn't stop, even texts about my mom. So that's when I cut off all contact with her. I told my husband that's his mom. I would never tell him not to talk to her, but I'm done. He said, I love you, I love our daughter, and this is his family now, and he will do whatever it takes to protect it. My grandmother and friends told me that I wasn't wrong, and they are proud of me for standing my ground. Surprisingly, my best friend told me that I'm wrong about how I'm going about it, especially since that will be her only grandchild, which I cannot stop thinking about. So, am I the a-hole? What? I'm sorry, is your friend actually trying to defend the person that while you were resting from a C-section tried to hijack your baby's name? And this is your best friend? That's just so weird. Yeah, it is gonna be her only grandchild, but that doesn't change the fact that she went behind your back and tried to change your baby's name. And honestly, like, what is she expecting? That she would change the name and, nobody would say anything, fine, she gets away with it. And then when you see the birth certificate, you're like, oh yeah, you know what? That's fine. My mother-in-law did this, but I'm okay with it. No, OP, of course you are not the a-hole. You acted in accordance to the situation, and it's a good thing to see your husband backing you up as well. He's right. You and his daughter are his family now. Maybe you need to have another conversation with your best friend to understand what she's trying to say. Maybe she's really not this much of an idiot. But if she doubles down, I might put her on ice as well for a while. And what is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. I'm happier than usual says, this woman tried to change your child's name behind your back and when confronted replied, well, your mother's dead anyway. And then tries to barge into your home against your wishes and then torments you, a brand new mom, even stooping so low as to insult your mom in the process. This person would have to climb Mount Kilimanjaro to see my child, not the a-hole. Avebury1 says, not the a-hole. When I started to read your post, I was initially concerned that she might have filled in the name on the birth certificate. So glad that did not happen. Congratulations on your beautiful bundle of joy and having a husband that puts you and your daughter first. Your mother-in-law needs to be put on a very long timeout. Maybe if she behaves, she might make it to your daughter's high school graduation. A Rose says, not the a-hole. Your friend is sick for siding with your vile mother-in-law. Protect yourself and your child. She tried making your life decision for your child whilst you were unconscious and vulnerable. She thought she could manipulate the situation to her advantage. She was being nice because she wanted to have control. Anyone that supports mother-in-law is freaking toxic and gross. Being a grandparent is not a right, it's a privilege. If she cannot respect you and your significant other's decisions as the parents, she absolutely does not get to be rewarded with access to your child. Additional information from OP's comments. First, English is not my first language and we're not from the US. Sorry for my bad grammar. Second, regarding the birth certificate, my husband and I had to fill the information out while we were in the hospital. She waited until I was asleep to go to the nurse's desk and try to change it. About my sister-in-law, I wouldn't say I forgave, but I did in fact let it go. I also had a one-on-one conversation with her, telling her she would never be alone with my child because of what she said. I don't know if it's because she felt bad, but she said she understood and left. And about my best friend, we're no longer friends. Okay, so the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and the friend that was calling OP an a-hole in the beginning is no longer a friend. Now, OP has given us 2 updates, so let's move on with the first one. Boy, I knew how immense the power of the internet was, but I didn't expect anything to happen this fast. So, since I posted this to Reddit about 2 days ago, my husband and I were driving home from Target and he started getting constant calls and texts from his mother. Lol. She saw the post from somebody. I believe one of my husband's family members because I've never known her to talk or even know about Reddit. But she called my husband and he finally answered the phone. She immediately started going off on him, saying things like, "How could you let her say and post those things about me?" And things like, "You didn't even defend me." My husband hung up the phone and she proceeds to call back and scream at him. I eventually jumped into the conversation and told her to please stop calling unless it was to apologize to me. She literally said I should have thought that when I posted the situation to social media. This situation is now known to my husband's extended family members, and the majority that I've met have reached out to my husband and me, telling us that they are so sorry that I had to go through that during such a vulnerable time. Which was lovely to hear considering my mental health about this situation. I got a few backhanded statements from my husband's cousin saying things like, "It was horrible what she did, but you took it too far by bringing the family business to social media. Child, bye." I saw some comments on my previous post about what my supposed best friend said. We are no longer friends. After reading some of your guys' comments, I sat back and really thought about it. No friend would ever agree to some cruel and evil things like that. My sister-in-law also read some of your guys' comments regarding her threatening my life. She spoke with my husband saying, "I didn't like the fact she mentioned what I said in this story because it makes me look like a horrible person when I already feel bad enough." Lol, I found that pretty odd. I'm very grateful for my husband during this time. He's fully supporting me. He doesn't even care that I posted this and is an overall great father. I overheard a conversation between him and his aunt, and he was saying things like, "This is my family now, and I'm going to do everything to protect my wife and daughter." And things like, "I just want her to know that they will always come first in my life." He's apologized to me on numerous occasions about what his mother did, but I feel like it's not his apology to issue. I'm in no way, shape, or form blaming him for this situation, and he doesn't have to apologize. I can't say that with a straight face that I'll never forgive my mother-in-law, because during my pregnancy, she was really my backbone outside of my husband and grandparents. Everything I needed, she was there, which is why I was and still am pretty hurt by this situation. I really looked at her like a mom. I want my mother-in-law in my daughter's life. I want the best possible for my daughter, but nobody will disrespect me and still expect access to my kid. I really do hope she apologizes to me and actually means it. I really hope deep down inside she's not an evil person. If this was your guys' situation, how would you guys go about it? Any advice you can give me will help. P.S. I appreciate some of your guys' uplifting comments. The majority of you make this website feel like a safe place. Thank you for the love. Okay, so shockingly, people don't like it when they get called out for the stupid things they do, of course. And regarding your question, OP, first, I'd wait for a sincere face-to-face apology. If that never happens, then of course no contact. And after that, I think I'd take it one step at a time, one very slow step at a time before I give this woman any access to my child. Anyways, we have a final update, so let's finish the story with that. So, after my last post, his mom did continue to deny everything. She apologized to my husband, but has yet to apologize to me. Well, she sent my sister-in-law to tell me that she apologizes, but that's not an actual apology in my book, unless it's to my face and she really means it. My issue is that this whole thing is really affecting my husband. I can physically see it's taken a toll on him, more so on the fact that he and his mother and siblings are fairly close and have always been. I love him for protecting our family and standing by our side, but I also don't want to be in the way of him having a relationship with his mom. I overheard a conversation with him saying that he really misses her, but he knows what he is doing is the right thing, and I don't want to stand in the way of that. I would never tell my husband to choose between our family or his mom. I feel like he's only trying to make me happy and not get me upset by not thinking about his feelings as well. I'm not going to lie and say I don't miss my mother-in-law because we were really close and I still hope that her acting nice toward me up until I had our daughter wasn't just an act. But I can't sit here and excuse the fact that she did that because it really hurt me to my core. But it hurt worse seeing my husband like this. I thought about just letting my husband take our daughter over to his mom's house so she can fully meet her outside of the day I had her. But I can't help but think, how many other things will she try and undermine with my daughter? I know that my husband is hurting just as well as me. I can physically see it. He just won't admit it because he wants to make me happy, which he does. He's literally the best. I don't want to stand in the way of their relationship. OP's edit. You guys sure do know how to get me together in the most harshest but nice way. Reading some of you guys' comments had me sitting back realizing who the hell I am. Because this is not my fault. I didn't cause any of this. So thank you guys' nice comments and some harsh because I needed to hear it. I'm done putting everyone else's feelings before mine. My daughter will not be around her until she seeks help. If she chooses not to get help, then it's her loss because my daughter is amazing. I don't have many friends, but somehow I feel more close to some of you guys than my old best friend. Love you guys. Well, OP, hopefully your mother-in-law eventually understands how big she effed up and that it's all on her, and truly apologizes and make amends. As for your husband, I would talk to him and tell him how you feel. Communication is super important, and it might actually help alleviate the guilt that both of you feel right now. So on that note, here's wishing the best for you, your husband, and your daughter. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. And now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Whites9811. Force me to modify my work, lose 80% of your revenue. This just happened today, so bear with my storytelling as I do tend to ramble and or mix things up. I'm a bit of a recluse at work, doing my own thing in my own little office, just crunching numbers and generally just churning out reports. I'm also the only one in this smallish company with any sort of professional license, so I'm the point person for any related issues. Today, like any other day, I'm just here in my little office and working when the VP comes and demands changes on one of my worksheets. Cue me explaining why the changes he wanted didn't make sense, as the math wouldn't add up or make sense if analyzed. Think 5 minus 2 equals x, but he wanted x to be equal to 2. So I go on for about 15 minutes, even making theoretical formulas in the extremities just to highlight my point, but no. So Goblin Number Cruncher does what Big Boss Goblin wants, so I ask to be emailed the instructions so I can print it. He complies as he knows I tend not to remember these kinds of instructions that go against my normal way of doing things, but also adds it to do it retroactively as well, as it being the new policy of handling it. Important to note is that my name doesn't appear in these reports. This is because the higher-ups are the ones who sign it after reviewing it, so I wasn't worried. And also, the email I requested added a nice cushion of safety. After 30 minutes of me pumping these new and revised reports out, they finally noticed that while it did affect that one particular report very positively, all others would result to the bills and revenue going down by about 80%. Our billables are a percentage of the numbers we come up with in the reports. So, who comes into my little office and disturbs my Theoden and Pippin Funko Pops? Is it the Goblin Boss? Yes. Sadly, my Funkos didn't stand a chance against paperwork being slammed down on them. Cue him yelling at how this is gonna screw us, what was I thinking applying the change he wanted to all reports, etc. I just pointed to the printout of his email with my mouth still slightly open, but no, he still keeps on yelling. Does Gandalf come and rescue me? No. An even bigger Goblin Boss does, the President, who asks what's going on. The guy knows I'm considering leaving the company and really doesn't want to lose me, which is why I got an office. Almost no supervision or micromanagement, and generally left alone to do my own thing on my own time. I do stuff around 3 times faster in addition to being consulted for various queries throughout the day. But I can slack off if I don't feel like doing much. The fallout. VP just got told to leave me alone. I was just told there'd be even less supervision, and I got a farther and bigger office. Old manager left a month ago, so just used as file storage. I assume as an apology. Well, OP, who said it didn't pay to do what your boss demanded that you do, even if it wasn't so good for the company? Now you've got even less supervision and a bigger office. I call that a win for you. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.